What's going on, all my fantasy basketball fans out there? Welcome to the Score Fantasy Basketball Podcast. I'm Waiver Wire Queen. It's a beautiful time of year in fantasy basketball. It's playoff time, y'all. That is right. So far, I've made it to the playoffs in 3 leagues. 2 have started this week, and 1 starts next week. And then I'm trying to sneak in there in that 8th seed in another league. So y'all wish me luck. Crossing my fingers, hoping I can pull it off. Nonetheless, today we are going to talk about players you should definitely consider. No, players you should add to help you throughout the playoffs. Because guess what? We not losing in the first round. We're going to make it to the championship round and we're going to win all of our leagues because that's how we do it out here in these fantasy basketball streets. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you enjoy listening to the podcast, make sure you tune in on Spotify, Apple, Google. Again, we are out here in these fantasy basketball streets. So tune in because we got a lot of great content out there to help you going forward. Let's talk about these great players who will help you this week in the playoffs because some of us are already in the playoffs. I would have rather preferred to start my playoffs next week. But, one league I'm in, the playoffs started and they still have a trade deadline going on. I don't understand that because I'm sorry, if you're going to have the playoffs starting, there should not be any trading going on while you're in the playoffs. That's just insane. But, every commissioner has their way of doing things. I don't do it like that, but it is what it is. Let's talk about some of these great players that will help you throughout the playoffs. Let's kick it off with Cameron Johnson. I am talking about him again. That's right. He has been solid for most of this season. Very, very consistent player. And he has been elevated to the starting lineup. Even though Payne has returned, Cam Johnson is still definitely a player who has a lot of potential and great value, and he's available, guys. I mean, I was surprised to see that Cam Johnson was available in most leagues, okay? And it's just like, what the heck is everybody doing out there? Why is Cam Johnson available in fantasy basketball? Well, you know what? It's your game, okay? If a player is out there that has been producing all season long and everyone else wants to pass him by, we're not going to pass him by. We're going to pick him up. He's rostered in 62% of leagues. He's a stretch 4. He can hit the 3, guys. He shoots 43.2% from threes. He's averaging 12.3 points per game, 4.1 rebounds, and he also shoots over 46% from the field, which is great, okay? And so far in the season, he averages between 20 and 22 fantasy points. Obviously, that is increased slightly with the increase in minutes because he's been elevated to the starting lineup, which has been a smart move for me. So let's take a look at what Cam Johnson has been doing over the last few games. And again, with Cam Johnson, I really like his potential because he definitely helps your team in so many different categories. He's going to score, he's going to rebound, he's going to shoot a good percentage, and he's also going to hit those threes, which we love. So he's a player that you definitely can play in all formats, which is good because I'm in 4 leagues, and then 2 of the leagues are points, and then 2 are categories. I like the points-based league better, but I have Cam in the categories league specifically because he's going to help me as a forward with the shooting percentages, threes, and his field goal percentage is really going to help me. So what has he done over the last few games? They beat the living crap out of Portland Trailblazers. That was like, whoa. Okay, you see, he only played 24 minutes because they just beat them very badly. They beat them convincingly. It was just like, really? Booker didn't even play. So, all right, he had 20 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal. When you look at his percentages, 6 for 8 from the field, hit all his free throws, and he also shot 4 for 5 from threes. Then you look at what he did on the let's go down to the 27th. Played 35 minutes, 23 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Okay, just producing producing at a high level, and that's the kind of player we want. And to see him available, he's available in 3 leagues that I'm in, and I'm like, why? Like a player like this at this part of the year, when you are making that push to either getting the playoffs or you have already started the playoffs, you want a player like that coming off your bench, because you don't have to start him every night, but you definitely want the reassurance that you have a player who is going to go out there and produce for your team. Look what he did on the 25th against the Pelicans: 15 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. Then against OKC, 21 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Very, very good player. I'm telling you, he is one of those young players that, has found his spot with a really good team. He started performing well last season, and you've seen the minutes increase, and you watched how he was producing in the playoffs, and that has continued on this year. And you see his role has expanded, and his minutes have increased, and his stats are up. And that is the kind of player we want on our team. We always want the players that playing their best and continuing to elevate their game. So with him, you see, started it last season and continued it on this year. That's a player you want on your team. And again, he's a player that you have coming off your bench. Your team consists of your starters, your top dogs, and then your bench. Your bench is just as valuable, because hell, we all know what has gone on this season. You have your players who are going to be out for load management, scheduling issues against your opponents. Then you have COVID protocol. There was a point in time where there was some heavy top dogs out because of COVID. A lot of our teams may have lost some weeks to our opponents because you had so many players out. And again, you work the waiver wire, and then the players that you have coming off your bench, like Cam Johnson, have helped you through those tough times, which is why he should be rostered. Let's talk about another one of my favorites, Darius Baisley. Darius Baisley is not a great shooter, but I don't care, because guess what? He's still going to score the ball, and he's going to rebound the ball. I don't recommend him the categories, basically, because although he's going to score the ball and rebound the ball, your field goal percentages are going to be bad. He only shoots 39% from the field and a little over 28% from threes. That's not good. That's not a player I want in the categories, basically, because I don't want anyone who's going to hurt any of my chances of winning every category. Obviously, you're not going to win every category, but you could find a player like Cam, because they both play the forward spot. I would prefer Cam in the categories, basically, than Baisley, because I know that Cam is going to help my team more in most of the categories that leagues are typically using. Baisley is going to hurt me in 2 very important categories, but Baisley is definitely a great ad. He's been playing very well this season for OKC, and right now he has been playing extremely well. He's rostered in 42% of leagues. He averages between 23 to 24 fantasy points on the season, plays over 20 minutes per game, scores 9.8 points per game and 6.6 rebounds per game. But again, you also have to take into consideration that he's just not a great shooter, and that is going to hurt your team, which we cannot have in the categories, basically. The goal is to add players who don't take away from those categories, because my goal is to try to win every category I can. And if you have a better forward in the categories, basically, like I said, with Cam, you go with Cam, because Cam's definitely going to help you with those statistics. Let's take a look at what he has done over the last few games, just to see what he has been doing for our team. I have him in only 1 league. Early on the season, I dropped him in another league because he was getting on my nerves, y'all. He wasn't playing well, and I wasn't having it, okay? But again, I don't care who the player is. If it's not like LeBron James or KD or, your top players, and it's these guys that you're looking to fill roles off your bench, and they're not playing well, and it's somebody else who's been playing well, hell, drop them and go with the player who is helping your team win. You don't want to hold on to a player, and that's something you got to think about in the playoffs. Playoffs is about being strategic, because you're definitely going to have to work the waiver wire. You're going to have to look for players who are playing well, like Malachi Flynn, right now, you hop on him, especially in the playoffs, he probably help your team. But you also got to realize that how long is that going to be for? So again, with Baisley, let's look at what he's been doing. So on the 28th, 8 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Really didn't have a good game that day. So, but again, with him, I'm looking for rebounds and points. On March 2nd, 12 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. Really good game. Okay, he didn't have a good game on the 24th. How a lot of players didn't have a good game coming back from All-Star break. A lot of players just really didn't score much, but nonetheless, 2 points is bad. But he only took 4 shots. It's not aggressive that game. 4 shots is just not enough for a player you're looking for that production. But for the most part, you see going all the way back to the 9th. We can even go back further. You'll see on the from February 2nd, 13 points, 11 rebounds, 15, 5, 17, 8, 14, 15, 3, 13, 4, 28. You don't want to leave a player like that on waivers. If there's a player who's going to score 12 points and 12 rebounds, that's pretty much what some of y'all centers are doing. So why would you leave that production out there? But again, you do got to take into consideration he can't shoot the damn ball. He's a volume shooter at the power forward spot, but we don't care. In a points-based league, we just look for points and we want points. So we add a player like him to help our team out when it comes to points, because guess what? Gotta do what you gotta do out here in these fantasy basketball streets, and he can help you in a points-based league. So points-based league. Let's talk about Terance Mann. That's right, y'all. Guard/forward with the Clippers. I talked about him before the season as having a breakout year. He's been so up and down. It's been hard for me to recommend him. Obviously, this is the time to recommend him because he has been playing his best basketball right now. Okay, all season long, he's been up and down. But right now, he's playing a damn game. He's playing very, very well. But when you take a deeper look at his percentages for the season, he still has solid stats. It's just at times inconsistent, and so the minutes were not there. And then you see when they made the trade during the trade deadline, they added a bunch of players who played the same damn position. They have too many players who played the same position, but nevertheless, he's rostered at 58% of Yahoo leagues. He averages on the season 21 to 22 fantasy points, which is still really good for a player who has had moments this season that is just like, okay, yeah, I'm staying away from him. He's not playing very well. He's been on waivers pretty much most of the season until recently. Okay, let's be real. We're gonna keep it 100 here. Hasn't played well all season consistently for you to fill a role on my team, but right now he's filling that role because he's playing very well, and he can help you right now in the playoffs. Because again, some leagues have started their playoffs on a season. He plays 29 minutes per game, shoots over 48% from the field. And again, I was saying his statistics are not bad for a player who's been consistent at times. So 48% from the field again, 36% from threes, which isn't bad, guys. And he averages 10.6 points per game, 5.3 rebounds, and 2.4 assists. So his stats are not bad. It's just, let's be real. Amir Kofi was hot as hell at one point in time, and we were playing him because he was playing better and he was getting the minutes over Mann. But now Mann is back in the building, and guess what? You're going to pick him up. He's playing well. Tyronn Lue is going to play him. So guess what? We want stock in Mann because we want Mann to help us win our fantasy basketball league, or at least first round of the playoffs. However you look at it, he's going to help you. So check for him. Let's talk about Jae Crowder. Okay. So Jae Crowder has been another player who has been inconsistent this season. When you look at his stats, it's average, but he's still able to help your team. He's rostered at 42% of leagues. On a season, he averages 21 to 22 fantasy points, which is really good. That's solid for a player who comes off your bench. But when he has those moments where he plays bad, just like Mann, you throw him on waivers because there are players playing better than him. With when it comes to Cameron Johnson and Jae Crowder, I trust Cameron Johnson more because he's more reliable, especially when it comes to shooting percentages. But Jae Crowder has been playing very well of late, so he's a player you definitely should consider picking up. because he's playing well. So why not take a chance on him? He's rostered in 42% of leagues again, and he averages 28.3 minutes per game. He averages 9.2 points on the season, 5.3 rebounds, and 1 steal per game. Again, his shooting percentages is horrible, guys. So in the categories, basically, I wouldn't check for him because his shooting percentages are that bad. As a forward, only 40% from the field, that's not good at all. Hell, me with a messed up elbow, I'm shooting better than that, y'all. So again, 40% from the field and 34% from three. That's not good. But nonetheless, he's playing well. And you jump on a player when they are playing well. When they're hot, we want them on our team. When they're not, we want them on waivers so somebody else can take that problem off our hands. So this last week, he's averaged 15 points, 4.3 rebounds, and 2.3 steals, which is really good. His points have increased. Again, Chris Paul is out, so everyone is chipping in. But who I trust the most, again, would be Johnson. He's just been more consistent. And although he would normally come off the bench, the production is there. And you know he's going to hit those threes and he's going to shoot a high percentage from the field. So he's a player you definitely look for. And he averages more points per game on the season. So that tells you he's been more reliable, in my opinion. So you got to make that decision. But let's take a closer look at what Jay Crowder has been doing for us the last few games, because again, it's been up and down. Let's be real. We're not gonna sugarcoat it, but again, as long as he's playing well, that is a player we want on our team, because guess what? It's all about winning, and I don't care who the hell the player is. If they can help you win, that is what we are checking for. So let's look at Crowder, okay? Playing a lot of minutes, playing very well. Okay, let's go back to the 24th of February. 17 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals. Very, very good. Very, very good. Okay. 25th, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. Okay, great. On the 27th, 16, 3, and 2. Really good game. Shoot. On March 2nd against the Trailblazers, which, you know, again, the Trailblazers, they in rebuild mode. They need to go on and move on from Dame. That's a hot hella mess over there. I'm telling you guys, there's not many players on that team I would want right now in the fantasy world, because they all just stinking it up, okay? But nonetheless, against the Trailblazers, he scored 15 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 steals. They just beat the hell out of the Trailblazers. Let's be real. And again, he has been playing very well over the last few games, so he's a player that you can definitely use until he falls off. And I do anticipate that. But knowing that the playoffs is only a few weeks, he may be able to help you out over the few weeks. He's definitely a good player to add in DFS as well. So if you're looking for a player to add in DFS, his salary is not going to cost you that much. He's playing. Again, him and Cam I like for DFS. So if you are looking for either one of those guys in DFS, go on and pick him up and spend your salary on them, because I believe they'll produce, because right now it's called for. They are playing very well and more opportunity because of the Chris Paul injury. Let's talk about Hassan Whiteside, y'all. That is right. He's been very good all season, and again, he's good when he's healthy. But again, that is an issue. Health is wealth. Availability is one of the most important things. If you're not healthy, then I don't care if you average 20 points per game. Like Anthony Davis, he's never healthy. I'll never draft Anthony Davis. I don't give a damn what he does when he plays 40 games. What about the rest of the damn games? But nonetheless, Hassan Whiteside has been playing very good for Utah coming off the bench. He is rostered in 38% of leagues. When you think about, he only plays about 18 minutes per game, he still is very efficient from the field. He shoots over 63% from the field, averages 8.5 points per game and 7.8 rebounds, and he's going to get a block. Just imagine if he was playing 35 minutes per game. He'd be a damn all-star, right? Maybe. But nonetheless, it's still very good production. He's a player that I'll be like, I definitely want him on my team to help. He definitely can come off the bench and help your team in the playoffs. And he's out there, so why not pick him up? Let's look at what he's done over the last few games. And also keep in mind, he has played very well for Utah when Rudy has been out. Rudy was out for an extended period of time. So if you had the opportunity to pick him up during that time, you know that he played very good for your team. He probably helped your team win a few weeks because he was really, really good. I'm sorry, guys. He was very good. I benefited from him, so I'm gonna salute. Let's see what he's been doing over the last few games. Again, with him, even if he doesn't score the ball, you already know he's going to rebound the ball. So let's see what he's been doing. So March 2nd against Houston, only played 14 minutes, 4 points, 4 rebounds, and a steal. Okay. Against Dallas, 2 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist, and a block. Phoenix, 8 points, 8 rebounds, 1 steal. Against Houston, 11 points, 14 rebounds. Let's look at the rebounding situation. You look down 8, 17, 18, 8, 9. It's going to rebound the ball. So say in a categories-based league, you need a center to help your team because the rebounds is bad. It's not working for you against your opponent because that is something that you have to consider when you're in the playoffs and you need a player to come off your bench because one of your starters, one of your top dogs, or your reliable players off the bench is not producing or out. Hassan Whiteside will definitely help your team in the rebounds. He's very, very good with the rebounds. If nothing else, categories-based league, those rebounds will most likely be there for you. So why not pick him up if you can? It doesn't have to be for the entire week or the entire first round, second round, whatever round you're in the playoffs. Maybe he's only good for you a few games or just that week or maybe one game. The difference in you advancing to the next round or winning may be that one damn day, that game that Hassan Whiteside grabs 8 to 10 rebounds for you. You got to think at every level. You got to think about everything that can occur and everything that will help you win every week in the playoffs and ultimately leading up to winning the league. You got to think about it all. It can't just be the big picture. Oh, yeah. No, it has to be maybe this one game. You got to look at how many players you have playing versus how many players your opponent has playing, especially in a head-to-head points-based league. If they got like 8 players playing and you have 2, you're going to get your butt whipped that day. So you have to look at everything daily, even though it's fantasy for the season and it's you play your opponent for the week. In the playoffs, you're going to have to start looking at everything daily, and you most likely should be doing that throughout the season because, again, there may be those days, and that can be the difference between you losing if your opponent he or she has more players in the starting lineup than you. You don't want that to occur. It's going to happen, but you want to make sure that you can do something to kind of alleviate that, like at least work the waiver wire. Hassan Whiteside, some of these guys will be able to help you. Don't let that be the reason you lose because you didn't have enough players playing and they just had more players. That sucks. I'll be honest. That really sucks. Let's talk about Jackson Hayes, who has been playing some really good basketball. He is in the starting lineup, elevated to the starting lineup before All-Star break over Devontae Graham. Devontae Graham stunk it up on Wednesday. He stunk it up. Again, I talked about him being a player that wouldn't play well this season, and he hasn't. And then I also talked about him last week about being a player that you just released because hell, he ain't playing well. I don't need your 8 points when I can go and get 20 points from Flynn or some of these other backup guards who are playing very well, way better than Graham. But let's talk about Hayes, y'all. He's rostered 31% of leagues. He plays the forward and the center spot, playing very well. Okay, let's be real. He's playing well. He has the opportunity, and that is important. You get the opportunity, you produce. Guess what? We win. That's what it's about. Winning, y'all. It's all about winning at the end of the day. And he can help you do that. I have him in the league, and he's helping my team. Okay. Fantasy points on a season, he averages between 16 and 18. But, that's looking at it from a standpoint of he didn't have a larger role at early on in the season, but he does now. So that has changed and is increased. Okay. He's definitely going to get you over 23 now because he's just playing well and the minutes are there. Season stats, 8.8 points per game. He's increased those rebounds, y'all. I was talking about his rebounds last week. I was saying, okay, for a forward/center, your rebounds is low threes. Now it's up over 4. And again, that has increased due to being able to play more minutes and produce for his team. We'll look at his stats and you'll see how he has increased those rebounding totals. And he shoots over 65% from the field. Okay, that's very good. If you're going to give me 9-10 points and give me some rebounds, I'm okay with that for a player who may help my team out in a spot start situation. If you are in a deep league, a lot of these guys is going to help you. Let's be real. You're in a deep league and you're looking like, who the hell am I supposed to pick up? Because there doesn't appear to be anybody on waivers. Some of these guys will help your team and you need to pick them up. Okay. The last 2 games, Hayes has averaged 13 points. Well, no, the last 2 games for Hayes, let's look at that. 13 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block. Then 11 points, 9 rebounds, 1 block, 2 steals. Playing very, very well. Let's look at his stats to see exactly what he has been doing over the last several games. And again, I'm very pleased because I yelled it back on. He heard me, y'all. He heard Waiver Wire Queen say, I'm going to need you to increase those rebounds, young man. And he has. And I am very pleased with that because, again, he has helped my team. Okay, it's a battle. I'm telling you guys, I took over a team that I did not draft, and now most of the players, I'm like, ooh, I would never draft that player. But I've been working the waiver wire. The waiver wire has been my best friend in this league, and he's helped me too, this young man. So let's look at what he's done. Okay, against Sacramento. 13 points, 7 rebounds. Look at that. Let's just look at the rebounding totals over the last few games to see how he has improved with his rebounding. Again, early on in the season, averaged 3. He has increased that to 4, but when you take a closer look, 7 rebounds, 6 rebounds, 9. Okay, he had 3, 5, 6, 7. Look, the reboundings have increased. And again, playing more minutes. When you play more minutes, guess what? You have more opportunity. And when you produce, when you're given that opportunity, they're going to keep playing you. Trust and believe they will. Okay, so look at his points, 9, 11, 14, 13, 18, 14. And that wasn't the issue I had. The issue I had was the rebounds. And he has pleased me with that. And he is rebounding the hell out of the ball as of late. So you know what you're going to do? You're going to listen to Waiver Wire Queen and pick him up. Okay, I'm playing against my team is the 8th seed in this one league. I'm playing against the number 1 seed, obviously. This guy only lost 2 damn games. Nobody beat him. But I'm trying, y'all. I am trying hard as hell to beat him. Again, it's hard, but, anything's possible in fantasy basketball. You just got to keep hanging in there and working the waiver wire and doing what you have to do to position yourself to win. Because guess what? We're working that waiver wire and we gonna win. That's how you got to look at it, okay? Let's talk about, y'all, let's talk about Raul Nito. Again, I talked about him last week. He has been a very, very good add over the last few games because he has been seeing an increase in minutes because you got Bradley Beal out. Obviously, they made some trades too. Dinwiddie's gone. So opportunity is here for this young man. He's playing very well. It's only rostered at 10%. Okay, that's not high, which means you have a chance to pick him up. And again, remember what I said earlier, this may just be for 1 game or just for, say, the first round of the playoffs. Hell, you don't know if you're going to make it to the second round, but if you're in a points-based league, you're going to do whatever you can to get the points. And you got to think of it. Do you want to play him, Nito, or you want to play Graham? If you have Graham in your start lineup while Nito is on the bench, I'm looking at you sideways. Drop Graham and pick him up because guess what? He's going to produce for your team. Graham isn't producing. He's going to produce because he has seen an increase in his minutes and he's producing. Graham, his minutes have decreased because he wasn't producing. Who do we want? I don't care what the guy's name is or what they've done last season, years previous season. I want the person who is producing for me right now. And again, he's producing. So pick him up, okay? Pick him up. He averages 8 points per game on a season, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. And that's just because he hasn't played much this season. Okay? But again, I don't care if it's a guy who's never played this season and he started playing today and was given an opportunity. If he's playing and he's producing, we want the person who's producing. Doesn't matter how many games they've played or how many years they've been in the league. We want production. High quality, efficient production. And this is what he does for us. He's even increased his 3-point percentage because last week his 3-point percentage was down. Was in a, like 23-24%. He's increased that to 27%. Still not good enough for me because that's very bad, okay? But he shoots over 45% from the field. And again, he's going to score the ball and get you some assists. That is what we're looking for from him. Let's just see what he's done over the last few games to see if, hey, he is doing more than what I think he's doing, because he really is. And you want to add him. Let's be real. You add a player who's playing very well. I don't care what they did in previous seasons, because you know how it is. Player may stink it up early on in their career and they take off. And it could be for various reasons. Maybe they didn't have an opportunity. When you get your opportunity, you got to ball out. Ball out, we'll play you. Okay, so March 1st against Detroit, Motown. What up, though? 13 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. Ooh, not bad. He's doing more than just scoring the ball. Okay, we won. He hit all his threes 1 for 1. Okay, I'm happy for him. On February 25th, he played 36 minutes, 22 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists, 1 steal. He shot 4 for 7 from threes. Better than his 27%. But obviously before that, he was at 23-24%. But he increased that because he has been playing much better and hitting the threes. Okay, we're not even going to look at the 26. He was just 2 for 10 from the field. It was a horrible night, but you're going to have that sometimes, which is why for him, he's not a player that I'm looking at as a long-term solution. He's a short-term solution because, hell, you don't even know if you're going to be playing next week because it's the playoffs. So we're not in a season anymore. It's the playoffs, and this is all you got. And while he's producing, he's going to be a player who you can rely on. Okay, so pick him up. And again, look, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, playing very well. Okay, guys, let's make sure we pick up players who have produced instead of leaving other players on our bench. Isaiah Jackson is back and he's playing well like he's been playing over the last several games. He's rostered at 45% of leagues. The Pacers aren't doing anything. They aren't going anywhere. They're in rebuild. And Jackson is definitely playing well. He's a player who you can pick up and utilize. He's been averaging 11 points, 5 rebounds over the last week. Miles Turner is still out. They might as well just let him hang up the sneakers for the rest of the season and allow Jackson to continue to play. And again, with Jackson, he shoots over 60% from the field, which is very good. That's the kind of player we want. You're rebounding the ball, you're scoring the ball, and you're shooting over 60% of the field. I ain't mad at him. And I ain't mad at whoever picked him up because I have an opportunity to pick him up. I tried, couldn't do it, but you always have a plan B. Just because you aren't able to pick up your player does not mean you can't pick up another player. So don't ever give up because you couldn't get a player you wanted, which is why we tried to analyze this stuff in advance. We try to analyze players on the waiver wire in advance, so we're not in that predicament to where we put a claim in for a player and we can't get that player. We're not putting in claims for players we already picking up and we already have these players. So that's how we look at it. All right, so let's look at what he's done. He missed some games. It happens. It's a part of the game. On the 28th, 6 points, 4 rebounds. On March 2nd, 16.7 rebounds, on the 25th, 17 points, 6 rebounds. And you also see he had 5 blocks. He was going out. There was a block party going on out there with Isaiah Jackson. He wasn't playing any games, blocking everything that came up in that paint. Good stuff, good stuff. But what does that tell you? He's going to do more than just rebound the ball or score the ball. He's doing multiple things. Stat stuffer. 5 rebounds, that's not an accident, okay? Because then when you look, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 3 blocks. So it's not something he isn't capable of doing. He's capable of doing it, and that's going to just make him a more valuable player for your team right now in the postseason. So you have the opportunity to pick him up, go on and pick him up. Because guess what? Playing well, and this is the kind of player we want, okay? Because guess what? It's all about winning, and we are going to do what we have to do when it comes to players. We don't see names when it comes to players on waivers. We see players who are producing, and we want those players on our team. Let's take a look at some other players who are some great players for you to consider adding, because they have been producing for our team. And guess what? We want those players. You always want to pick up the players who are playing well and give you the best opportunity to win. And again, those players are players. It doesn't matter the name or anything. It's all about production. If they're producing, we want those players on our team. So let's look at this list and see what's going on. So we have a few players here who have been playing very well and have been reliable over the last few weeks. You got Maxi Cleaber, forward/center with the Mavs. You know that they traded the Unicorn, and so his minutes have increased. When the Unicorn was with the Mavs and was out, he filled in, and he filled in very nicely. He's going to score the ball. He's going to get you some rebounds. He's going to shoot a solid percentage from the field, which is good. Ayo is one of my favorite players, one of my favorite rookies. And I'm going to say his name the way I like to say his name. Hey, yo! Nah, Ayo has been very, very good. This was a great pick for my Chicago Bulls. Y'all know I'm a Bulls fan, so I got to hype him up, big him up even more than what I'm doing with everyone else, because let's be real. He's been doing a damn thing. He has value as long as Lonzo Ball and Caruso is out. They aren't back yet. Caruso is starting to do some things on the court, but guess what? They're not back. So what does that tell you? And what you should do? You should continue to play him. You should play him, whether that is in DFS or pick him up on waivers, because he's available still out there in leagues. This kid has played very well, and it's a shocker that he isn't rostered at a higher percentage. But hell, if somebody else don't want him, you're going to want to get him. If you want to leave him out there for me to pick him up and beat you with, that's what I'm going to do. So pick him up because he has played well. Again, when Ball went down, most people thought, oh, okay, White is going to be the guy. He's going to be the starter. Although White has played very well, Ayo has blown us all away and played way better than Ayo. Played way better than White. So you want to pick up Ayo. Flynn, woo! He has been smoking hot the last 2 games. And again, this is one of those players who his value is short-term. His value is good as long as Van Vliet is out. And guess what? He's out. He's going to be out Thursday. He was out Thursday as well. He's been out the last 2 games, and this young man has played very well. So he's a player you definitely should be checking for. DFS, salary low as hell. If you get a player whose salary is very low, especially under 5,000, and he gets you like 35, 40 points, you probably going to win that night and win some money. You're going to holler at Waiver Wire Queen. But nonetheless, Flynn, his value is as good as long as Van Vliet is out, and he's out. He's still out. So he has value, and you should be checking for a player like that. Again, like I said, we don't care when the players started playing, how long they've been playing good. If it's their first league, we don't care. If it's their first year, we don't care. We just want to add a player who is playing very well at whatever point in time. And he just happened to be playing well in the playoffs. So that is good. So if you have him over the last 2 games, he's produced for your team. He has exceeded everyone's expectations because you probably didn't expect him to play as well. Well, he's playing very well. So you want to add him, and you need to do so. Let's talk about Isaiah Roby, playing very well for OKC. Pick him up, very consistent. I picked him up. Again, I'm in a league where I am the 8th seed, and I'm playing against the champ who he barely lost a game this year. So, it's an uphill battle, but I'm hanging in there. The biggest thing what I've noticed is I have some issues with my top players being available certain days, which can hurt, but you gotta make up for it by adding players who are on waivers. And a player like Roby is definitely gonna help. He's gonna help me on Friday, and he's gonna help me on Sunday, where I don't even have 3 of my top guys playing. It's like, God damn, who the hell made this damn schedule? But nonetheless, we got to do what we got to do and work with what we have to work with, and you have to make the adjustment. Devin Vassell has been playing very, very well over the last several games. He plays the guard and the forward spot, so he can help you, whether it's at the guard or the forward spot, which gives you some flexibility. And again, he's been producing. Jalen Smith, another player you can check for the Pacers. He has been playing very well. He's one of those players that I would just look at and see what Jackson is doing, because I feel like Jackson should have the higher priority over him. But if he continues to play well, then you definitely should check for him. Then we also got Emmanuel Quickly, guard with the Knicks. I'm mentioning him because he has played well when he's been given the opportunity. Again, with Tibbs, he's just one of the only coach in the league who, you got players playing well, we don't play them. Like, just play the young kid. The Knicks are not going anywhere in the playoffs. Let him play so we can use him in fantasy. That's the only reason I want him to play. I'm like, damn, come on, Tibbs, let him play. But you guys know that when it comes to the playoffs, you have to look at players, whether they have been around for a while or not. We don't care how long these players have been in the league. You play players because they are helping your team win. And that is just all we're trying to do out here. Let's talk about a few other guys who have been playing well. You got Kyle Lowry, who has been in and out of the lineup. Jimmy Butler was out on Thursday. So you got to look and see if some of your top guys are out there, other players who definitely can help. And what you need to do is just look at who their backup is, because chances are if Jimmy Butler is out, then you're going to see the twin get in there and play. Let's go in and see. You're going to see probably Caleb Martin get an increase in minutes. And then you also may see a little more Duncan Robinson as well. So you can target players. You got to think about it from that perspective too, because this is the down the stretch. Some teams may rest their players and you're like, well, damn, my top guy's out. Go and get his backup, who may be elevated to the starting lineup, who's going to most likely be elevated to the starting lineup in their place. And that player is going to produce for you. He may not get you the 40 points that say you think Butler is going to get you, but if he can get you 20, 25 to 30, that helps, because you don't want to take a chance on a player on waivers and stink it up. Like I had one guy told me that he took a chance on Goodwin. Now, he didn't realize that Garland was back yesterday, and you see what happened with Goodwin. So damn. Woo, that was ultimately not a great decision, but it happens because you just never know what's going to happen in fantasy. You always have to be tuned in, and that's why you subscribe to the Score Fantasy Basketball Podcast, because we keep you connected and let you know what's going on all the time. And again, we give you great players to add every week. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you enjoyed the episode. Leave some comments on the players you are targeting for the postseason. Let me know what's going on with you guys. Let me know how you are doing in the postseason as well. Also, if you enjoy listening to the podcast, check us out on Spotify. We are out here in these fantasy basketball streets. Google, Apple, we are here for you. And we want to make sure that we position you to be competitive, to stay ahead of your competition, and ultimately to win your league. Y'all have a great weekend. Peace.
Thanks for listening to The Score Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to The Score for more fun and great advice on how to win at fantasy basketball. And if you've got comments or questions about The Score, send them to waiverwirequeen@gmail.com. The Score.